You gotta have knowledge for life. You gotta have knowledge for life.
All right, welcome. This is Steve Muhammad with Knowledge for Life, and we are here with Sister Maggie Anderson, and we just heard a very powerful lecture on Black empowerment. But I wanted to ask just a few questions because you did speak about almost close to 2 hours. But one of the things that I wanted to ask that I thought was so important is in one of your interviews, you referenced Rosa Parks and her stance on sitting and not removing herself from her seat, and this movement that you took a part of with your family. The empowerment experiment. Can you explain a little bit about that? Because that was a revolutionary move in this day and time.
I like to liken what we did to what Sister Parks did and what happened from it. Not because I'm trying to compare my sacrifice to hers in any way, but I do want what we did to remind people of our spirit of activism. And what I think is missing, especially among my corporate and professional peers, is that spirit of activism, where we have attained so much personally, professionally, educationally, but we're not doing anything with that activist spirit to really leverage those achievements and blessings in a way that would benefit our community. So that's why I like to bring her up. Because she took a stand. She did something that was not convenient. So that's what I really want more of our peers to think about doing, and to think about their economic power in that way. So if you really want to care about your community, if you want to take a stand, it could be as simple as just going to your local bakery or finding a dry cleaner or putting some money in a Black bank or finding an independent Black insurance agent and putting your money there. And that's a huge tip for me. I always try to tell people to do something where they'll be paying into that business on a recurring basis. But that's the reason I compare what we did to Rosa Parks. The other reason is that what a lot of people don't realize is that what she did led to a year-long movement. The community responded to her act of sacrifice, and they boycotted the bus system for over a year. So that's another connection to what we did. It wasn't just that we did it for a day. It wasn't just that we talked about it. It wasn't just that we're sharing a story. It's that we took a continued stand for a year until our message got out. So those are the connections between our little family sacrifice and what Sister Rosa did back in the 50s.
Now, the last question, the seriousness of this movement, because this is a matter of life and death. You gave out some stats in which you talked about our purchasing power reaching close to $1 trillion or to $1 trillion, but yet we are powerless as a people. And then we have a huge unemployment among our young people. Can you explain, I mean, this life, yes, the seriousness of this?
Right. I try to make sure that we bear out the direct correlation between our lack of business power and gang violence in our community, with our kids killing each other, and not just that, with racial profiling, with people targeting us. All of that has to do with our lack of business power. That lack of business power is manifest in our institutions not having the power to respond to this kind of thing. And it's not just that, because our businesses are not in the local community anymore, and most of the businesses in our community are not locally owned, the people who live there don't feel vested in the places where they live. So that's why it's not clean, that's why it's not safe, because we don't feel like it's home, and we don't take care of it like it's home. And without the kids being able to see business owners who look like them, the only business owners they can see would be drug dealers, then that's what they aspire to become, and they lead those negative lifestyles. If they were to see more examples of success coming from our business owners and see that on a daily basis, they wouldn't think that a life of violence and drugs is their ultimate destiny. And we wanted to prove, I mean, that's a theory, you can say, but we wanted to prove that with the facts. And what I like to tell people is that when we did support each other, when we did practice self-help economics and keep our dollar in our community for extended periods of times, and we had strong businesses in the community, our unemployment level was actually lower than that of whites. The unemployment gap that people talk about now was created in the late 1940s and only started to widen in the 1960s after integration. So when we had the businesses and we recycled our wealth, we had jobs. There was no unemployment. This gang violence that you see now did not exist. We weren't out there killing each other and vandalizing our own storefronts. All of that happened right after we lost total control of the businesses in our community. So when you see those two trajectories happening at the same time, that's what I like to point to show why when I drive 4 miles out of my way to go to my dry cleaner, and that dry cleaner has now been around for 4 years, and that dry cleaner is probably the only black-owned business on that block, and that dry cleaner just hired a young man, an orphan, because his father was killed in jail and his mother died of drug abuse. That child now has a job in a black-owned business. And that black-owned business owner is much like our own Gerald Tillman. He's taken him in, he's showing him the business, and now that kid, I am certain, I'd leave my children with that young man. That kid is not going to be a gangbanger, but the chances of that happening would have been greater if he did not have the haven that he has now in my dry cleaner. So if I want that kid to be successful and I want him to have hope, it is my job to make sure that dry cleaner stays in business. And if I have to drive 4 miles out of my way to do that, I'm only going to do it twice a week, to go drop off the cleaning and go pick it up. That's 20 minutes. If I can't give up those 20 minutes for that kid, then we can't expect anyone else to fix our problems.
Thank you. I mean, it affects family, it affects the crime rate, it affects the community, and it affects our future.
Yes.
In the parting words, please tell the people about your book, about your website, and any other information.
Well, our book is called Our Black Year, and we really need you to support the book. Proceeds from our book sales go to our foundation. If you want to learn more about the book, buy the book, just go to ourblackyear.com. The proceeds are going towards the new empowerment experiment. The empowerment experiment was my family's year-long journey, completely living off the businesses from our community. The new empowerment experiment is my challenge to the community to try to unite 1 million conscious consumers to support our businesses. We need money to make that movement effective. We have a lot of support, a lot of folks are signing on, but if we really want this movement to take hold and really go gangbusters, we need your support, just like any other campaign. So when you buy the book, you are supporting the 1 million in 1 year movement. To learn more about that movement, just visit jointhemillion.com or maggiesmillion.com. Those two things should be very easy for you to remember. Join the Million or Maggie's Million, and you can get all the information you need about our new movement to unite 1 million consumers to support the businesses that represent and reinvest in our community.
And you don't want to say anything about Maggie's List yet, do you?
Not
okay.
Really.
Okay.
Oh, we could say and coming soon.
Coming soon.
And coming soon, Maggie's List. Maggie's List. Please look out for Maggie's List.
Well, we want to thank Sister Maggie Anderson and her family for the great sacrifice, for coming here and to helping us to understand the importance of being a conscious consumer. A conscious consumer, I think that's a powerful word. We want to also thank Mr. Gerald Tillman and the Success Guide. If you're in Cincinnati or in that related area, definitely get the Success Guide. It's a book that will help us to find black businesses to support. And with that, I want to thank you all, and may God continue to bless you and your family with the light of truth and understanding. God bless.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.